We'll begin. This is the time and place for a city commission meeting here in South Dakota, Monday, June 28, 2021. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Weinreich.
Here.
Bragg.
Here.
Robish.
Present.
Mayor Harrington.
Present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda approval. Does anybody have any amendments to the agenda they want to amend tonight? If not, I have one. We're going to add to 6.6 under personal items. We're going to add recommended pay increase for Julia Bloom from $11.50 to $12 to complete WSI certification June 2nd, 2021. Recommend wage correct for Jamie Cantor at $11.75 effective 4/13/21, and pay increase for completing his WSI certification, $12.25 effective 6/2/21. So that would be my amendment to the agenda. Seeing none other, have a roll call vote on approval. Have a motion, please, to approve.
Move to approve agenda.
Commissioner Weinrich to approve. Second, Commissioner Robish. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Weinreich.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. City Commission at this time adjourns to convene as a Board of Adjustment. And at this time, I'll call on City Planner Barry Kranzler to explain to us what we have in front of us tonight.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. In your packet tonight, there is a memo from myself with background detail on the original variance that was done back in 2019 in March, where the City Commission, acting as the Board of Adjustment, basically approved the variance with three requirements. That one, a drainage plan be submitted and approved by city engineering staff. Two, that the new parking area that it was installed by Hope Lutheran Church be capped by a concrete or asphalt within 12 months. And the third was the requirement for a 6-foot opaque fence to be constructed for the proposed project area. We have been, the applicant and the variance, the Hope Lutheran Church, has been approached by the neighbors, the adjoining property owners to the west, and they are asking the Hope Lutheran then has subsequently come to us to ask that the requirement for the fence be rescinded. They've submitted letters of support from those property owners. I've included a map in your packet that has each of them identified and where they live. And so with that, I would recommend approval of the request to rescind the requirement for a 6-foot opaque fence.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve to rescind the fence.
Commissioner Robish moves to approve. Need a second on this item.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Smith. Time for discussion. Anybody got any questions on this item? Yes, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I was on that original vote as when that variance request came forward to us, and I recall the fence being brought up through that process. And I promoted that requirement to have it because we didn't know at the time what it was all going to turn out to look like. And the church has followed through with what they're wanting to do. It looks very nice. They've added concrete and made their parking lot attractive, and by verification from the adjoining neighbors, it's obvious that they they're okay not having the fence in there. So that would prompt me to vote in favor of this, to kind of go against what we originally approved, but, so I'm going to vote in favor of it. Just explaining my background with this project.
Any other discussion on this?
I guess I would have one.
Yes,
Mayor.
Commissioners.
Thank you. Like Commissioner Smith said, that's not the norm, but the request actually came from the neighbors because of the fence. They didn't want the fence, where this is a church, not a business, but it's basically a business, where we would persist on a fence being there. But the neighbors use that backyard. They all have fences, they all have gates, so that's why. I just would like to say, just so that down the road, that's the deal. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak?
Yep, just a minute. Any other discussion on this? Commissioner Bragg, do you have any discussion on this?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Jim, Mike.
Well, again, thank you for your consideration. As has been laid out, when the initial established variance was declared, I think that was the right thing to do. There isn't anyone here that isn't saying that you did anything wrong. I think the sequence that followed is exactly right. And we were prepared to do the fence. We had it in our budget and everything. And they came to us and said, we've seen how you have done everything. We don't want a fence across that back side. We like the view. In some cases, there's a gate into the parking lot, which we have no problem with. So this is actually a win-win for both sides, and we thank you for your consideration. But I think the way that it was handled is absolutely right. It's come back to you with the proper respect to the subject. Thank you.
Thank you. The only comment I have on this is I'll refer to our illustrious retired city commissioner, Doug Klug, who has stated more than one time, says, I don't live in the neighborhood, this is what the people want, that's what we should give them. So I'm going to vote for this also. So, with that, Bob, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Weinrice,
Aye.
Bragg,
Aye.
Robish,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye. Okay, thank you, that passes. Okay. We will now come out of, reconvene as city commission, come out of Board of
Thank you.
Adjustments.
Thank you.
Next up is public forum. Public comments may be sent to, during a live meeting broadcast to the city's YouTube channel. The link is listed on the city website at www.huronsd.com/citygovernment. In order to use the YouTube chat feature, please create an account with YouTube and Gmail or use your existing accounts. Please state your name and address for the record. Public forum is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. Is there anybody who would like to speak to public forum?
I would, Mayor.
Commissioner Robish, yes.
Thank you. If you look on your agendas, down on 6.6, bullet point number 2 and number 4, we're accepting a resignation from the volunteer fire department, and number 4 is we're moving one from the volunteer fire department to the full-time fire department. So, long story short, we met with the fire department last week, and our volunteer fire department is getting very, very depleted. And we've had some rural fire calls, and we've had some unfortunate situations on these rural calls because of the response time and the lack of numbers that are responding to fires. So I'm looking for any recommendation to get some firefighters, some volunteers, or whatever. I mean, if you're ever wanted to be a fireman, today would be the day to start. And they will gladly take any suggestions how to get more people involved. So our volunteer fire department is getting very depleted.
Any other discussion? You else got anything public forum? I have something I want to read in public forum tonight, so bear with me. Regarding the recent reports of sensitive material being unintentionally released to a third party by the way of the police cameras sold at a public auction, the city attorney's office has been coordinating with the Beaver County State's Attorney's Office and other outstanding support agencies to secure any sensitive material or confidential criminal justice information. Accordingly, a subpoena was issued last Friday, and progress is being made for resolution and securing any sensitive or confidential material. In reference to the cameras sold at public auction, the Huron Police Department policy has been amended to provide for the disposal of photography, video, or audio recording equipment, in that all equipment used by the Huron Police Department to photograph, record, or store digital evidence pertaining to a documentation, investigation, or prosecution of any criminal case will not be disseminated, transferred, or sold to any outside person or entity. All equipment that is deemed obsolete, damaged, or unnecessary will be destroyed following an established evidence disposal procedure. All equipment contained in media storage, to include internal, external hard drives, internal memory, or other media storage, will be destroyed in a manner which prevents previously stored information from being accessible. To crime victims and their families, efforts have been undertaken to work with the Beaver County Victim Service Office to assist victims and their families whose information may be on the cameras. Again, we are working diligently to secure any information by the means of appropriate legal process. Finally, I'd like to add the misinformation surrounding the integrity of the city's handling of the financial data by the finance department relating to our water billings. And appropriate responses have been made accordingly to correct any misinformation, and the city continues to ensure the security and protection of financial data obtained from citizens pursuant to the water bill process. While this matter has been ongoing, measures have been undertaken through legal process, policy change, and coordinated with outside agencies. We will continue to coordinate an effort to secure any sensitive or confidential criminal justice information, implement policy, and to assure integrity and security of such information moving forward. Thank you. That's my comment on that situation at this time. Consent agenda. I'm sorry, I'm going to ask, any of the commissioners have any questions they want to ask? I related to that conference, or through that situation I just discussed. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Consent agenda. Matters appearing on the consent agenda are expected to be non-controversial and will be acted upon by the commission at one time without discussion unless a member of the commission requests an opportunity to address any given item. Items removed from the consent agenda will be discussed at the beginning of the formal items. 6.1, minutes of June 21st, City Commission. 6.2, fuel quotes for city departments. 6.3, parade permit filed by the Huron High School Student Council for their annual homecoming parade on September 17th on designated city streets, contingent upon approval by the South Dakota Department of Transportation and for use of Dakota Avenue, South Dakota Highway 37. 6.4, raffle, Lasers Bar for July 11th at 128 Dakota Avenue South. 6.5, set July 12th as a public hearing date to consider transferring 2021 retail on-sale liquor license from Huron BPO Elks Huron Elks 444 460 Dakota Avenue South to Fire Pit Pizza, More Enterprises LCC 46 Dakota Avenue South. 6.6, one recognized E911 telecommuter Ernie Swiner has completed his probation period and is now eligible for supplementary benefits. And 2, accept Wally Wallman's resignation from volunteer fire department position. 3, hiring Logan Linedecker for T-ball coach pitch. 4, recommending hiring Tyler Waldner for a higher fighter position with the fire department. And then we have an addition, I'll read it again. Number 5 will be recommended pay increase for Julia Bloom from $11.50 to $12 for competing WSI certification effective 6/2/2021. Recommended wage correct for Jamie Katner for $11.75 effective 4/13/2021. And a pay increase for completing the WSI certification for $12.25 effective 6/2/2021. And the last item is 6.7 is the payment of the bills. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I've got one thing.
Yes, sir.
Number 6.3, number 6.6, number 2, that's Stanley Wallman, not a big deal, just to clarify that.
What did I say?
You called him by nickname, let's just say.
Really? Well, I'm sorry.
That's all
about
right,
that.
that's all
Thank you
good.
for catching that.
But I will make a motion to accept those with that
Okay.
correction.
Second?
Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Roll call. Roll call.
Oh, go, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Weinrice.
Aye.
Bragg,
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Bid quotes, Brett, take up number 7.1, city engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. 7.1, consider payment request number 1 by Midland Contracting, Inc. for bid number 2021-23, 3rd Street reconstruction, Union Street to Pennington Avenue in the amount of $169,248.33. This would be the first pay request to Midland Contracting for the 3rd Street project. This is basically just for removals and traffic control, and they're planning to start utility installation after the 4th of July. So progress is moving well on that project, and we recommend approval of payment.
Okay. Need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Weinrich, motion approved. Need a second.
Second?
Commissioner Smith with a second. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Weinrice.
Aye.
Bragg,
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. 8.1, Brett, you're up again.
Mayor, consider consultant agreement with Houston Engineering, Inc. for the solid waste transfer station improvements planning project and authorize the mayor to sign. What this is basically at the existing solid waste facility, we're a transfer station, and we use a baler right now to bale up the waste material that comes in, and then we transfer it to the pier, is how things operate. That baler is over 40 years old, and it's been giving us a lot of grief and headache. For the last years, they've been working to keep it rolling. Parts have become non-existent. They've really had to get creative to keep it functioning. And basically, we didn't plan for anything on this in last year's budget, because at that time, Dale felt confident that we could roll for another year. He's been trying to stretch this out as far as he could, but some things have come up, and it's kind of become a hotter item. So we started looking at consultants. We basically requested proposals from several different engineering consultants to put together a plan. And that's what this is. It's basically a study or a plan of how to move forward, because maybe a baler isn't even in our future. Maybe there's other options to look at there. But how to look forward. The other thing that they'd be looking at is with the existing layout of the solid waste or the transfer facility, the flow of traffic becomes difficult in there. There's other difficulties, like the tipping floor where they dump inside the building. The ceiling isn't high enough, so they can't raise trucks all the way up to be able to dump it out. And then they don't have a big enough floor to sort the waste out, you know, and they need to sort different things, recyclables and different things out. So they don't have enough room to do some of that. So they'll be looking and evaluating all that, looking at if we can renovate the existing facility and the existing grounds, or if we need to look at new construction. So this is basically just a planning project that we looked at. So with looking at the different consultants, Houston Engineering was basically picked by the engineering department and the solid waste department as the preferred option to move forward with. And due to their experience and qualifications with transfer facilities, they're also, their fee is very, very comparable to the other ones that we looked at too. That was the other reason why we want to look at them. So we're recommending to move forward, even though it wasn't in the 2021 budget. It would have to come out of reserves, which have actually been set aside for this work for the solid waste. We knew it was coming, so they've been setting aside money. So it'd have to come out of reserve, but to move forward with this agreement for consulting to provide this solid waste transfer station improvements planning project.
Jan? Need a motion to approve?
I move to approve that.
Second. Second by Commissioner Weimers. Discussion? Yes,
Mayor.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. So we've had different reports over the last couple of years for sure of not only the need for the baler equipment out there, but also upgrades to the building facility. I mean, this number has floated upwards towards $4 to $5 million with the building and upgraded equipment and all that. If that's the direction, that the outcome of that, is there potential for us to contract with, say for example, other communities, local communities, to service those communities? Or would that not be a reality kind of a thing?
So you're looking at bringing in area communities, or like as in they would bring their waste to us and then we would process it and haul it to pier.
Right.
Because we don't
Right.
actually do anything with our waste at this time now, right? As far as pier, we haul our waste and our recyclables to pier at this time.
Yeah.
So there is that potential. We would kind of become a middleman essentially there for them, so whether or not that would work out as far as, you know, our fees to these other communities.
Maybe is that an offering to like a private, to private sector in the area? Or isn't it just that big a deal?
Those are some questions, honestly, for Dale a little bit. He's not here tonight, you know, I mean, he's looked at some of that, but, cause I'm not the department head there for the solid waste, so looking at that, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at it the best I can. But I think there's potential there to maybe, look at, you know, some other communities if they would bring, the waste here, but, you know, likely they've already got something set up right now with private offerings. Now, because there's, even in town, there's a private offering right now for waste management, right? And they already serve a lot of these small communities from my knowledge, you know, so, and they come pick it up. So I don't really know that we could probably pick up a lot of that work there unless something would happen on the private side of things that they would want to pull back from those.
So waste management as an example, how do they handle that? Do they take it to a central facility and they bale it and take care of it from there? Or do they
Yeah,
do that on site here? Or?
Yep, they're processing it and hauling it themselves to a facility of sorts, yes. To pier or to, actually in your proposal from Houston Engineering, they had a chart there, or drawing there that showed the other transfer facilities in the area.
Page 7 on that.
Page 7.
Yeah, you're talking about the one with the map on it?
Yes,
Yeah.
there it is. Page 7 of.
Well, page 2 of yours, but on our packet it's 7.
There we go, there we go. Yep, so page 2 of that. So you see that they're showing the other transfer facilities in the area, but basically Pier and Yankton is where most people are going to with that material. There are smaller transfer facilities around. But
Yeah, I'm just, through the process, you know, if that is a possibility to
well, and the reason why we're a
co-op on
transfer,
that, or,
right, and the reason why we're a transfer station and not landfill is that we've looked at the tonnages, and for the cost to go to the landfill option, we just can't bring that material in. We're not basically handling enough tons. And there's actually back, I think there was, as recent in 2000s or late 90s, actually it was in the 2000s, they had a review of that again, and just, and our tons really haven't changed much from that. So through that discussion, we've really kind of dropped the landfill option, and we're just kind of moving forward as this transfer facility.
and that component, and, kind of putting you on the spot here, I should have Ford in here working him over, but, Brett, as part of this process, that wouldn't be part of the scope of this, review?
No, the scope, we're beyond that at this point, as far as looking at that and talking to these with, that they can look at the tons, because Dale's provided these consultants when they were putting together proposals for us, what our tons were, and, you know, it's just, through that, they kind of know what the sweet spots are for these facilities, right? And they agreed that unless Huron was gonna see substantial growth, or be able to bring in outside communities suddenly as a landfill. But the problem is there's already these landfill options that are going to around us, that it's hard to bring those in, you know?
Yeah.
So, so unless we were gonna do that, it really, it didn't pay to look. So at this point, we were gonna look at just modifications with our transfer facility. One of the things I didn't mention, though, was the proposed fee for the study too, when I was mentioning, and that is, it's a not to exceed amount of $84,354. And that includes meeting with the stakeholders, which that would be the various departments and commission, and going through what the values are and what we see as needing for improvements. And then it also includes a couple of field trips, if you will, to other transfer facilities which have recently been upgraded, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel, see what's working for these other facilities, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this topic? I have been on those field trips. I've been to Yankton, I've been to Pier, and witnessed what they've done. That was about 3 years ago. I was here last time we had a state convention here for waste treatment, or solid waste, and they were all amazed. Our baler is so old that they cannot, nobody has one like that, and they cannot believe it's still running. And we told them at the time, it's because we use cobble wire and lots of bolts to keep that thing going, but it's gonna go down, and we'll have to make a decision. So we might as well do a study, see where we're at before we have to do it in a hurried session. So I'm all for the motion we got on the table. So with that, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Weinrez,
Aye.
Bragg,
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. And I would suggest that we do have Dale come in some night and just put on a work session for solid waste for the people that are on the commission that haven't heard about it in the past. So we'll get that set up.
And thank you, Mayor. He was unfortunately, he was unavailable. He was planning to, you know, if you could be here, but we're trying to move the study forward because as we all know, city budgeting is coming up very, very quickly. So if we're doing the planning project here now, next year would be the idea of design. And so we want to be able to kind of get an idea of size and relativity of the project that we're going to have so that we can budget accordingly for next year. So.
Okay, sounds good. We move on. Department items, 10.1, the city commission will not meet and city offices will be closed on July 5th to observe Independence Day. 10.2, announcement of Solid West holiday schedule. Rich, do you have that?
I don't know if I do. Here, let me
I got
take a
you
look.
covered. I covered you. I
Thank
will
you.
so gladly cover you. You owe me. Solid Waste Department, solid waste rubble site will be closed on Saturday, July 3rd and Monday, July 5th in observance of Independence Day. Monday's garbage, recycle, and grass collection will be held on Wednesday, July 7th. Please place containers out Tuesday evenings as trucks will not be rerouted. If you have any questions, please feel free to call 353-8542.
That was way better than I would have done.
You're giving yourself too much credit. Let's see. Now we're going to go to a work